Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Melrose if you're new here. Well, I'm out in the garden again. I need to get this place looking nice before I go. I know when I come back it will be a jungle, so I'm going to try and make it as low maintenance as possible. Part of the fence is up. We're still waiting on the machine to be repaired to get the rest of the wood. That won't happen now until I get back. But this area here, I can make it look nice. Bit like what I've done here. I'm doing a poor man's version of this inspiration picture here. I just need to clear all the rubble, the stones, the cement, the sand. There's all sorts in here, so I'm going to dig it over as best I can. As you can see, the earth is very dry. We've not had much rain. Even though I'll be covering this all with that black plastic membrane and then putting some gravel on top, I still wanted it to be as flat as possible and get rid of all the bits of rocks and so on. So I took my time, and it took me the best part of 4 hours, believe it or not. After clearing the area, I decided to call it a day. Tomorrow, nice and early, before the sun is too hot, I will set the cactuses in place. You know I'm doing this on a budget, so I'm going to have a look around the garden and move some cactuses and put them around the front. No way am I moving this aloe vera. It is my pride and joy. Just look how beautiful and majestic it is. And this was just a tiny cutting that I was given. I was quite surprised at what I managed to find in the garden. It's more than I thought I had. I'm going to pile them all up into the wheelbarrow and get to work before the sun gets too hot. These are the kind of gardening jobs that you think will take you maybe an hour, and they turn out to take you all day because there's a lot more involved than you think there is. I had to dig holes, I had to cut back all the dead bits off the plants, and I had to go and source fresh soil. It was quite a lot of work, but I'm enjoying it. Job done. You might be thinking, well, those cactuses are a bit tiny, but trust me, they get big quite quickly. Then it's a question of maintaining them so that they don't grow too big. I just need to get some black plastic membrane and some grit and to finish off this area, and it will be low maintenance. Every so often a weed gets through and it's dead easy to deal with, just pull it out. So I'm hoping this will be finished before I leave. Now I need to sort out the vegetables and my little food forest. I think I'm going to devote this area to some vegetables. I've already planted some peppers here. There's a nice lemongrass tree there. It's suffering a bit, so I'm hoping it'll pick up. I've got some herbs in there, which I really need to move to a better location. I've got this area ready to plant the spinach that I've grown from seed. I want to put the marigolds in. There's this creeping vine flower that is absolutely gorgeous when it's in full bloom. I want to plant it so that it curves over and make like an archway that leads you into the food forest. I planted out some veg in the planter, mostly tomatoes, but for some reason they're not doing too well, so I'm going to have to give them some TLC. The Bougainvillea, I will plant them out so that they're in a row, so eventually I'll get a nice Bougainvillea hedge up the side here, which should look really nice. So let's get to work. The first thing I'm going to do is plant out the spinach, or some of it at least. As usual, nothing goes quickly when you're gardening. I need to get some kind of wooden stakes so the spinach will grow up them. So I'm going to go off foraging around, because if I can save a penny, I'll save that penny. I'm doing all this in order to keep this spinach contained, because when it grows everywhere if you don't train it. I put some wire string all the way up it, so as the spinach starts to grow, I'll weave it in and out. A neighbour, lovely lady, gave me some callaloo seeds, so I would like to plant them somewhere in this area here. In the morning we don't get much sun, but in the afternoon it gets quite sunny here, so I think it should be okay. The soil is so rich and lovely here. I think I'll plant some butternut squash in this area as well. Right, the bed's ready. I'll just add the callaloo seeds. I think I'll also add some kind of trellis, because I think callaloo plants are vining. I'm not sure. The next job is to get this in the ground. I think it's called yellow trumpet. I think I've just been on the Google and that's what it said, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to plant this and then I'm going to have it vining up just a stick for now until I've made a proper trellis for it to climb round. Okay, next job. The sun is out, so I'm going to have to protect myself from the heat. I'm determined to get this done because if I leave it, I know I'll be coming back to a lot more hard work. So let's plod on. I'm going to get the Bougainvillea in the ground. Like I said, I want to make a hedge out of them. So I'll just create a trench and then put them in and give them a good water. And hopefully by the time I get back, they will be a lot bigger than they are now. The butternut squash is still a bit young yet, so I'll wait a day or two and then I'll get them in the ground. Yes, and I planted the passion fruit. I'm watching that very carefully because there's something eating it. I think I've had enough for today. I'm getting tired, but not a bad day's work. Bougainvillea are all in. The passion fruits planted. The yellow vine flower, that's in. The spinach, the callaloo, and I even managed to do a bit of weeding. Right, this area is finished. Now I need to do along the side, the food forest. It's quite a lot of work needs doing there, so I'll make a start on that in the morning. A lot of work needs doing here. I've got to make it low maintenance, so I'm clearing everything out. I'm even getting rid of the cages because they seem to be attracting the frogs, along with those white grow bags that I've made. The frogs and their babies are living in them and it totally freaks me out, so it's all going. Move the cages, so now I'm just going to level off this area here. There's some really good soil, so I'm going to move the good soil and I'll use it in the garden elsewhere. It was at this point that I got distracted. We got a delivery of gravel and I decided to do my sister's walkway. I took up all the old gravel and I put some new one down for her. Now I'll refocus on my food forest. Like I said, there's some really rich soil under here, so I want to get access to as much of it as I can, and then I'll lay some black plastic down and put some gravel on. Again, it's all about making it low maintenance, so just makes it easier for me to manage because it can be overwhelming. Gravel that I took from my sister's pathway needed sieving to get all the muck out, and I had to ferry it round to my side. It was a lot of work, but you know me, anything to keep the costs down. I shoveled it all on, laid it out as best I could. Then I got the newer grit and piled that on top. It's a massive job, so I've done a good layer. When I've rested, probably another, just before I go, I'll pile some more on top. So it's a nice thick layer in the hope to stop the weeds from getting through. My usual quest to keep the cost down, I just scrounged around and found some old wood and I made a planter. But as usual, I make things far too big. This is like a baby's cot. Moving the heavy thing was a performance in itself. The saying goes that there's more than one way to skin a cat. Lesson learned from the first planter. The second big planter was assembled where I wanted it. Makes life so much easier. Oh, this is so much better. It feels bigger, there's a lot more space. Now that that is done, I need to plant out some vegetables that I've got. It's been a few days and the butternut squash seedlings have grown nicely, so I'll get them in the ground. I will spread them out. I'll put some in the front and I'll put some in the vegetable garden. My aspiring to be food forest, I've got lots of brassicas growing in tubs. Now I notice those vegetable moths flying around and they've started laying their eggs. So I need to make sure I check all the leaves first of all and then cover everything. My cucumbers are finally beginning to grow, so I need to get them trailing up the trellis. But I'm telling you, it's so lovely walking through here now because there's no toads or frogs or whatever you want to call them, and there's so much room. So the hard work was well worth it. When I made this planter, I placed it in the front garden, but I wish I didn't now. But it's too heavy to move, so it's going to have to stay here. I've got a range of vegetables growing. The tomatoes are not doing too well. I'm hoping they'll pick up. I've got some cabbages, cauliflower. There's coriander as well, but that's struggling. I tell you what, I think I will take everything out, including the soil, and move it up against the wall where it's less windy. I think they'll stand a better chance there. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I finished the front. I have been such a busy little bee. I have finished putting all the grit down, you know, the plastic liner, then the grit. It's not hard to imagine how it's going to look once all the fencing's done and I've got enough rocks to hide all the black plastic. But you can see it's going to be stunning. And I even had time to make my sister a daybed with a sliding drinks tray of all things. She did, however, upholster it herself. Let me give you a quick reminder of what this outdoor space looked like before and after. Well, that's it from me. I am totally exhausted, so I need a nice long rest. Until we meet again, bye.